in bush. I've got him at gunpoint. Okay, gunpoint, 132 in bush. Coverage
Welcome to Roll Call with the Richmond Police Department. I'm your host, Detective Pat Tudor with the Richmond Police Department. Today is episode 4. It's called Partners on Patrol. We've got our K9 officers with us today. Today should be an exciting episode. So we'll just start with some brief introductions.
Officer Kiefer Uphaus.
Officer Jacob Wolfal.
Officer Brennan Krofta.
Well, appreciate you guys being here. I will say that, as I said in some of the previous episodes, once we get behind camera, kind of the jitters a little bit and stuff. But, again, I would just encourage you guys, this is an open conversation. You guys obviously represent the Richmond Police Department with our K9 program. I know that anytime you guys show up, the dogs are always a hit when we do our big, community engagement event. So appreciate you guys being on today. Kiefer, let's just start with you, I guess. Maybe talk a little bit about how you got started in law enforcement, how long you've been on. Tell us a little bit about your dog.
As a kid, I was pretty interested in law enforcement. Always wanted something to do with my hands. I've never really been an office person. I did a ride along with you. I can't remember if you were still on third shift or seconds. One of them.
I think seconds.
I think it was seconds. You still had the old Crown Vic, and I had a blast. It was awesome. Figured out you couldn't become a cop till you're 21, so I joined the Army and left for a little bit, and then came back and was lucky enough to get hired on and been here ever since. Been here for 7 years now. Been on a SWAT team for quite a few years now, and been a handler for 3 years since 2023.
So really kind of, I know Brandon's on SWAT as well. I was on SWAT. I mean, really guys get to serve in probably the two best positions on the department, SWAT and K9.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jake.
I've been a cop for 7 years now. Been at Richmond for 2. Growing up, I always wanted to be a cop, just like Kiefer said. Fell in love with it on my first ride along. Wasn't as interesting as Richmond Police Department is, but fell in love with it and then decided that was what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
So you previously worked for what department?
I started in Jay County at the Sheriff's Department and then transferred to Union City and here.
Gotcha. Brandon?
All right, so I've been a police officer for 13 years. I've been on the Richmond SWAT team for 10 years, and I've been a canine handler for 6 months. I guess I first got in law enforcement in the jail at Wayne County, then worked the road for a couple of years, and then I recently came over to the Richmond Police Department.
So Kiefer, maybe talk a little bit about the K9 program, how many dogs we have, kind of what that process looks like, how you guys train, which I know today's actually a training day for you guys, so it made sense that we film the podcast today. And I know later today we're actually going to have Scott and Officer Cade Bray go out with us and get some footage of you guys. We didn't want to get all the dogs in here on the podcast today, and so we're going to get out and do some.
Been busy.
Yeah, would have been busy. But maybe just talk a little bit about. Start with our K9 program.
So I think, to even start with our program, you kind of have to go back in the lineage, right? So the Richmond Police Department's always had a really strong K9 program. You go back to, Dean Snap. Even as early as Kenny Lester and those guys. Working on
you're talking 30 plus years.
Yeah, you're talking a while. Almost as long as I've been alive. The Richmond Police Department's always had a strong K9 program. You work your way down through Kurt, Zach, Dean, Austin Lips, who's still here, Bobby Lips, his dad had a dog, all the way down to the more recent ones, with Foster, Browse, and, hard to forget Seara. We've always had a phenomenal canine program, and it's always been really, really well put together, which kind of built the foundation for everything that we're at now. Now we're at 4 dogs. I think since I've been here, that's the most dogs we've ever had. We're kind of pushing the envelope with our trainings a little bit more. It's a little bit more of a faster pace, but we're able to, we gain a lot out of it. We have a lot of young handlers. I'm still a young handler, only having 3 years on as a handler. And trying to put trainings together is a little bit different, but I've had a lot of help. We go over to Indianapolis and train over there with Gary Haddon. He's awesome. He gives a lot of ideas and a lot of perspective and stuff. So our training days have gotten a lot busier. But with the 4 dogs, we're there now. Hopefully would love to get to 6. A lot of it is the maintenance of the dogs, and the fact that we're kind of self-funded. We don't really have a city line item that pays, hey, we're going to pay you a certain amount a year for your dogs. It's all self-funded. So,
well, and I think that's probably a good time, honestly, to bring up the support that we get from the community when it comes to the cost, the operational cost of, getting these dogs. And we could talk a little bit about that, where the dogs, where we get them from, the cost, the training you guys have to go through. But, I think it is a good time to just mention that you're right. I mean, this isn't funded through the agency. Mm-hmm. There are probably costs that, you don't anticipate, because I know, like for you guys, you talk about maintenance of the dog. I mean, that maintenance is 24/7. I mean, you guys, take these dogs home with you. They live with you and your families. And so it's a big commitment. But I think you're right. The number of dogs that we have now, is 4. Our 4th K9 handler, you might mention who that is.
Yeah, Dane Nordman. Unfortunately, he's not able to be here right now. He's serving in a different capacity. So
yeah, I think he's
in the guard as well.
Yeah,
so.
He's in the guard, so he's training there today. We tried to push this and get him in the future, but then that was a conflict with that. So poor Dane just had to miss out today.
Yeah.
But talking about the program, I guess, and what it is currently structured like. We know that you guys train how often?
So we do a minimum of 2 training days a month. So we get a minimum of 16 hours of training. The federal government they look at a bona fide canine team as having a 16 hours of training a month. We consider it a bona fide canine training team. There's not any set hours that you have to have this to be considered a real canine team. That's just kind of what the federal government has established. But we do pretty well. We get our 16 hours in, and on top of that, our guys have the availability to do in-service trainings. So pushing not just the handlers and the dogs, but also the guys who work with each one of those dogs. Jake works with a different set of group of guys than what I do. So when I do in-service training, I want to train with the guys that I work with every day, and same thing with these guys.
Yeah, so, we all know how important that is, when, especially on my end, not being a handler, and you find yourself, being a second guy, in a stack or doing an open field search or something, knowing the do's and don'ts, because obviously, smiling, guys don't want to get bit.
Nobody wants to get bit.
Nobody wants to get bit, so you got to be, a little cautious about that stuff. But maybe talk a little bit about how our officers, their work schedule, how they're assigned right now.
Man, we did a lot different than what we've ever done it before. We're on the 4 on 4 off 10-hour schedule right now as a basic patrol. But our handlers and our dogs are on a different shift. The 3 other dogs, so Dane, Jake, and Brandon, we kind of established a tack shift this year. So they work from 6P to 4A.
And what would be the reason for those hours?
So we did it. We pulled the numbers and did some research, and that is more of the high crime rate. Your violent crimes, there's more crime rate during that time. Your violent crimes take place. There's a lot of people in the community who are out and about. during those times. I feel like our call for service numbers are higher. So we kind of established that time frame for them to come into work, and it provides coverage between second and third shift as well. So that dog works with both shifts. It doesn't allow the city to pretty much not have a dog. We almost have a dog in the city almost all the time. There's also 3 shifts for our dogs. There's 3 shifts for patrol as well. So Dane, who's not here right now, he currently works the A squad. So Dane will work 4 days, and then his last 2 days, Jake would come on. And now we have 2 dogs on during that time period. And then Jake works his first 2 days with Dane, and then he flips, and Brandon comes on. And Brandon works 2 days with Jake, and then they flip, and now Brandon's on for 2 days, and then it kind of goes right back to
So let me ask, like for you guys, if you're working shift and say, Dane's working and you're working, and there's a call that somebody needs a dog, like I know you guys are probably chomping at the bit, but how do you figure out who's going to use what dog? And
at the beginning of the year, we kind of all sat down and just kind of did a little rotation schedule. So obviously, if I'm busy on a call, Dane will take it. If Dane's busy, I'll take it. If not, and it's kind of one of them slow days and somebody's requesting a dog, we'll just kind of switch back and forth and go from there. And
I'm sure you guys probably play to your strengths, though, right? Because I'm sure these dogs, once we start kind of talking a little bit about what each dog is better at, if you're talking detection or apprehension or even tracking, like you would agree that some dogs might be a little bit stronger at one or the other. So, obviously if a tracking situation, you may want to use one of the more specific dogs, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is there's always going to be a little bit of a competitive edge, even with me, I've had my dog for 3 years. Jake hasn't had his dog and Brandon hasn't had their dogs for very long, but I work a day shift schedule, and these guys, they hit the group chat up. They're like, hey, we just did this stop. This is what we got out of it, so on and so forth. Just keeping us updated. And it's kind of like, dang, man, they got that and I didn't get it.
Yeah.
So there's always a little bit of a competitive thing. And I would probably say it happens on shift as well. So there's a little bit of jealousy, but I think at the end of the day, we're all on the same team. We have the same goal.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I think that's natural. We want, these dogs, right? They're highly trained. You want to get to use it. So, when somebody else gets to use it, you're like, man, it's like a SWAT call out and you miss it. You just, man, I missed that. Well, maybe talk a little bit. We'll start back down with Brandon and work our way back. Talk a little bit about maybe how long you've been a handler, your dog, and all the details on your dog.
So I've been a handler for 6 months. I'm the newest canine handler. Our canine program is pretty young as a whole. All of our canines, except for Kiefer, have been within the last year. So K9 Zane is who I handle. He's a dual purpose German Shepherd, Belgian Malinois mix. He's 2 years old. He came from Virginia. He started at another police department before he came to us, Lynchburg Police Department, then made his way to us. So he's probably the smallest dog on the department, but he's a little ball of fire. He's like a little Tasmanian devil. So yeah, he's a good dog. He's chilled out quite a bit since I've got him. And these dogs, they all like the routine, just like we do, especially the dogs. They like to get up at a certain hour. They like to work a certain, he gets his vest on, he gets his collar on, he knows he's going to work. He kind of changes. And then once he gets out of the car and you take that collar and you take that vest off of him, he kind of chills out a little bit. But it's the funnest thing in the world for them. That's what they like to do. Like they want to, they want to get that ball. They want to fulfill their duty as a canine. So, this is not just going to work to them. If they could go to work every day, they would. They don't want to be house dogs. They don't want to be pets. Even though they enjoy it and they have fun at home, playing and everything like that, like every day going to work for them is their dream job.
Yeah, but just like us, there's a limit to where, you get exhausted, and those dogs sometimes I think don't know, like, hey, I'm getting exhausted because they're so driven to work that's where you got to have, the canine handlers and understanding, those dogs and their limitations. I know you and I talked, I think it was just yesterday about you doing a track and how long the track was. And, those dogs, again, they're so intense, you know, and if anybody knows anything about particularly the mouths, you know, I mean, they've got that constant shake, and you kind of see how intense and focused they get on stuff. And, you know, that can be, you know, for everybody, even when you guys get called out, it's mentally can be exhausting. So when you talk about, so any of you, I guess, can answer this. When we talk about dual purpose, what does that mean to somebody that maybe doesn't understand that, Jake?
They do everything. They smell narcotics. They track humans. Apprehension. Area search for human odor. So like somebody throws a gun out of a car or something, you can put your dog out there and they'll go find it. Yeah. So just a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Maybe talk a little bit about your dog's name. And
I handle K9 Bane. He's 18 months. Came from Czechoslovakia. He's still a baby. You can tell by when he comes out, he still has that puppy mentality. So I've had him since we graduated in December. We hit the ground running immediately as soon as we got out of school. He's a snow dog is what I call him. He loves the snow. Anytime he's in the snow, he just lays down, rolls around. He's like his dog, a little ball of fire, just always wants to be working. He's the greatest dog with my kids. After he got his first apprehension, he went home, laid on the couch, and my daughter was playing with him. You'd have never known that he's a work dog when he's at home. He is like a bull in a china shop, though, so you got to watch him. If he gets on slick floors, he can't stop. He'll run over everything, knock everything over. So, but no, he's fun. He's fun to be around. He's fun to play with. So,
you want to tell us a little bit about Dane's dog?
Yeah. Well, before we move on from Jake, he kind of cut off his own head a little bit. Jake was awarded a couple awards at school, and I don't want to take that away from him.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, he up at Ultimate Canine where we've gotten our last couple dogs. Jake was extremely successful. I believe you won best track and overall dog, right?
Best tracking, best patrol dog, and best overall dog in training. So,
and I would say that that's not just a testament to the dog, but also to the handler and how much time you put into it. The dogs and the quality of the quality of dogs up there and the handlers that were up there. I believe Jake actually had a couple guys in class they were on their second dog, you know, so for him to be able to go up there and compete with those guys, I think it speaks volumes on his behalf and the dog. So,
and I had the youngest dog in class too, by a couple months. So,
yeah, that's amazing though, you know, and we all know this to be true. And me being on the department for close to 29 years and being around the K9 guys, like this is a 24/7 job. You know, when you talk about training, that 16 hours is just, you know, something that's scheduled training.
Yeah, it's child's
but
play.
you guys are training nonstop all the time, on shift, off shift at home. And but talk a little bit, I guess, maybe about Dane and his dog. And
so Dane came to us from the VA. I think he worked for Mishawaka, and then he worked for the VA hospital for a while, the VA's police department, then came to us. I remember him when we put out the process for the dogs. He sent me a text. He's like, "Hey, man," he's like, "I know I haven't been here very long. Like, would it be worthwhile putting in for the dog? You know, I don't know if I've got enough time on." I told him, I said, "Look, man, it's already been approved by the admin. If you want to put in for the dog, and that's something that you want to do, then put in for it." So he ended up applying. He came in and he did a great job during the interview process and during the rest of it, and ended up getting selected. So we went up to Ultimate Canine, picked out a dog, and unfortunately, Dane wasn't with us. So Dane was he was at military. So I believe Jake and I actually, because Jake hadn't gotten a dog, he was in the last process with Dane, and they were the two that were selected. Dane was just getting his dog first. And so I took Jake up with me, went up to Ultimate Canine. We sat down. We went through a selection process. And I think we had the third pick. Or no, we had last pick. Yeah, we had last pick for Dane's dog.
Mine was the third pick.
Yeah, yours was.
So when you say last pick, is this like the draft or something? How do they establish?
It's kind of like
who gets to pick when? And
well, everybody does theirs a little bit different depending upon what vendor you go to. But up there at Ultimate Canine, you know, it's kind of first come first serve. Like, hey, you pay up, you get first pick. So if we were all to go get a dog, and I was able to provide my money first, and I'm getting first pick out of the litter. And I say litter, I mean the dogs that are available. But So we got up there and we ended up having last pick, and we were sitting there and we were watching all these dogs, and they were presenting them, and we were like, I had 2 of them really picked out. I was like, oh man, these are the 2 I want, and they were females. It's really cool to get a female because a lot of times they breed those out. They don't even get to work the street. And they were just little balls of fire. And I mean, when I say little, I'm talking, I think Bala was like maybe 49, 50 pounds, and the other one might have been like 53 to 55 pounds. Just little itty bitty rockets. And those are the ones I wanted. And it was funny because he started laughing at me. He's like, "You're gonna get that little dog for Dane?" Because Dane's not a small guy. Dane's a pretty stout dude. And to be able to watch him run around with a little itty bitty dog like that would have been funny. But we ended up selecting Boss.
What are buddies for, right?
Yeah, yeah. But we ended up selecting Boss, and I feel like it works out like this every single time. You get a dog. When you get your dog ends up being just like you. And so we ended up selecting Boss, and Boss is an absolute hammer. His head has a 6-pack on the back of it. He's just solid muscle.
Yeah.
He's just like Dane. He's stubborn. He's hard-headed. But
we're not going to say just like Dane.
Yeah, just like Dane.
Because he's not here to defend himself. Yeah.
But I mean, Boss is phenomenal. He's really cool to work with. He is extremely social. Loves the guys. Loves the shift. Luckily, they come on shift when I'm getting off, so I get to meet him in the parking lot and see him work with them. And his shift, he's in the building constantly. Like, he takes me to roll call. If Dane gets out to go to the bathroom, his dog's with him. The thing is attached to his head. Yeah. And Boss has been a phenomenal addition to the team. He has a phenomenal career ahead of him. I can't wait to see where it turns out for him.
Yeah, I know. So Dane and Boss helped out with our Grinch video that we did. And I know after talking to the Grinch was pretty nervous in the video to have to walk up and grab the ball and throw it because not sure what reaction he would have gotten from Boss.
Yeah.
But he did great. And that's the one thing I think is a huge compliment to all of our dogs. Is they're very social, not only with our officers, but anytime you guys go out to the community. I mean, we just did a couple different events, and you've got kids that are 1st and 2nd graders coming up and petting the dogs. Mm-hmm. And and I think that speaks volumes to, I guess, not only the personality and the traits of these dogs, but how well they're trained. Because 1 minute, and we've all seen it, I mean, that thing is, on command, they flip that switch and they're ready to go to work. But yeah, so tell us a little bit about your dog.
Ski is Ski is...
And you guys talk about names. Yeah. You don't pick the name, right?
Well, kind of.
Yes and no?
Yes.
I picked mine.
Did you?
Yeah, we pick the names. A lot of times we try to keep it somewhat similar to what the breeder had it at. Ski's original name was Banksy. And Banksky's just kind of hard to say. If I got into a situation and I had to, start yelling
more
for
than
my
one
dog,
syllable, so
more than one syllable, it's hard. So I kind of just cut it down to Ski. Boss is his original name. It stands for Boss Dog, and he is that.
And it's
so
not
it
Boss, BOSS.
No, it's BAAS.
Yeah.
So it's like a boss. Just depends upon how you pronounce it, but. Yeah. I mean, you picked yours. So
his original name was like Barbarzarewski.
Yeah, that's his full name.
But they called him like Bari or something.
Bari. They changed it to Bari, and I changed it to Bane.
So what made you change it to Bane?
Just the way he looks. When he has a muzzle on, he looks like Bane from the cartoon.
There you go.
Yeah.
So what about you, Brandon?
Zane was his original name, so he'd worked the road previously, so I just kept it the way it was. I like Zane anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not too bad of a name.
Yeah.
It kind of makes it hard, though, because we have a Dane, we have a Bane, and now we have a Zane. So it's just the names. It's like, all right, which one am I talking to?
Yeah. And I don't remember, but we've had dogs on the agency before that guys knew, like if the handler wasn't around, like it made you a little nervous. But Bobby Lips had Cartos. And that dog could be nasty as well. And I remember going back into the information desk one day, back where the safe unit's at now, and we had this little swinging door, and all I did was take my paperwork and clipboard and I stuck it on the counter. And Bobby, I think, had got up and went to the bathroom, and I looked down, and Cartos just looks up and sees me. Brief eye contact, man. He's up. He's trying to come around the side. You know, and again, I think there has been probably some evolution in like everything on the way dogs are trained and to the level that they're trained. You know, when you guys go to this training, talk a little bit about how long that is and what you guys do and the expectations. And, you know, it's something that you actually have to pass and qualify. It's not like, oh, hey, here's your dog.
Oh yeah, and it's been a little bit different for us. We've recently went to the Ultimate Canine, but for like me, I got my dog through Von Lick, which is a world-renowned place. I mean, they provide phenomenal dogs. They have great people up there. Between Kenny, Danny, Luis, and Brad, and all those guys, those are the ones that were up there while I was there. They have provided dogs to the Richmond Police Department for 30 years. You know, so they're awesome. Through their course, it's a 6-week handler's course, and they tell you in the beginning of the course, like, the dog knows what he's doing, and you're the dumb end of the lead, so stay out of the dog's way. And you feel that way, you know, 6 weeks, and, you know, if you have an 8-hour training day with them, your day doesn't stop. Now you have to go out and you're working obedience, you're working, you know, call bys and everything else with your classmates out in the parking lot. So it turns into a 13 to 16-hour day every day for 6 weeks. Recently we went up to Ultimate Canine, and Jake went through the actual course. I didn't, so I'd rather have him talk about it.
Yeah, Ultimate Canine, kind of like that. Shorter, 4 weeks. You don't live there. You you drive back and forth. It's in Westfield. It's like he said, some of the dogs that come out of there, all the dogs that come out of there, are amazing. She has dogs all over the world, all over the country that she gives. The training is, you know, you start at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, and you're not getting home till 8, 9 o'clock at night, and that's including drive time. And but it's good training. You learn a lot. She has a lot of people come in that are very intelligent with dogs, and like he said, after your training day, you go home, you still have to be a dad, and then you still have to work with your dog. So training day doesn't stop whenever training over there is over.
Well, and I was still thinking, you know, just getting your dog into your home environment now, the dog still has to be trained to that environment. If you have other dogs, now you're having to get your dogs acclimated together, and I'm sure sometimes that doesn't always work.
I wouldn't say always. I'm very fortunate. Like the dog that I've gotten from Von Lick, he's just a big baby, to be honest with you. I have 2 other dogs at home right now. We recently lost one. But Ski is best friends with all of them. And I mean, when I say that, I come home, and if he doesn't immediately get to go inside and say hi to the rest of the dogs, he's irritated. He's mad at me. So, like, he's like pawing at the door. He's like, let me in. I gotta go see my brothers.
Yeah.
So he's very social when it comes to other dogs, other animals. We have ducks at the house, you know, and I mean it's a kind of a prey drive thing there. So he doesn't bother any of the ducks, and I know you have other dogs at home as well. And Brandon, I think you guys have another dog at home.
Yep. A couple of their dogs, cats, they don't really care too much about them. So, you know, as long as they get to play with their ball and chew their bones and have fun, they're not too concerned about anything.
Yeah, so talking about the balls, you know, I mean, what really drives these dogs?
You want to take it?
So it just depends. Depends on what they're doing. If we're doing narcotics, so what they say is obedience to odor, right? So the dogs are obedient to us until we're doing odor work. And then once they hit that odor, it doesn't matter what we tell them to do. That's what they're doing. And then their big thing is their paycheck is the ball. They work for the ball. So I've always been explained, like, the ball to them is like us on Friday getting our paycheck. So you don't want to work them on an odor and then just take them off of it like it was nothing. You want to make them feel like they did something right. So that's what that drive is for, is that ball at the end of whatever they get done.
And is that pretty common? I mean, with all the dogs, I mean, that ball is kind of their reward, I guess, for, you know, the job well done.
I would say yes. I'm also a big fan of, you know, the ball is more of a physical reward, but what that dog gets reward-wise from me, even if I don't pay him a ball, that high pitch, that happy, yeah, buddy, you did such a good job. You know, me talking to the love that I
heard you
provide that
describe
dog.
it to the little kids as your Mickey Mouse
My
voice.
Mickey Mouse voice, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they teach.
Should we do what that sounds like?
I'm sure you'll hear it later on when you
Yeah.
guys come to training, but you know, we had to practice it at Von Lick during our course. Like, you had to stand up in front of class and, you know,
Oh, really?
give your best Mickey Mouse
Mouse voice.
Oh yeah. So that love and that praise, you know, that's what's actually rewards the dog. You know, the ball's just kind of a physical thing. Yeah, I get it, which helps build prey drive. But that love and affection, that he did a good job. He did what he was supposed to do. I think that's really what kind of gets to my dog the most.
Gotcha. Talk a little bit about, like, today you guys are going out to train. I know you say 2 training days at minimum a month, but I know that SWAT had training this week, and you guys were able to incorporate the dogs into some of that training as well. But talk about what, like, your typical training day will look like.
So it kind of depends upon what we've got going on, what each dog needs to work on. We're lucky enough to where we have other agencies come and train with us as well. You know, Wayne County's been great. They've been coming out and training with us. They've got a single purpose and a dual purpose dog, so it's cool to see both worlds there.
And you say single purpose. What would that like?
So most of the time, like Wayne County's dog, he does he tracks, but he's mostly just single purpose narcotics. So he's just there to do the detection work. Does not do any apprehension stuff.
So what? I mean, this might be a dumb question, but so if a dog is described as single purpose, could it be just an apprehension dog?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
so it could be just considered a patrol
one
dog
single
at that
thing that it typically, works. You know, we've seen over the years that most of canine dogs are typically more than one purpose, and then usually there's a certain breed or type of dog. You know, and I think back in the day, it seemed like German Shepherds kind of, I think, were the dog that agencies had. But like, I remember having a burglary one time years ago, and we called in some bloodhounds. You know, like, a bloodhound's probably not going to be like an apprehension dog, but they're great for tracking. You know, so, you know, again, there's with you guys, and all of our dogs are Malinois. You know, so you kind of know the characteristics of those dogs and their capabilities. I mean, they're, I think, probably from an athletic standpoint, seem to be one of the more athletic dogs when it comes to jumping over or on top of, or, I mean, SWAT training the other day, we had multiple dogs down there, and even just from other agencies, and, you know, dogs were still on a lead, but we were doing apprehensions inside the vehicle. Somebody didn't want to get out, and those dogs were just little missiles right through the window. Once they knew, yeah, that's where I'm going. A couple of them had to look around and then locked on and right through the window, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I wouldn't say that every dog, like, each breed has their certain things that they do. Like County's dog, you know, it's a Malinois, but he's single purpose. Sometimes it's just when they pick through those litters, they're like, hey, you know, this dog's got a great nose, it's got a good temperament, but it doesn't have that prey drive. It doesn't have that alpha, that fight drive to it. So they kind of may just select that dog to train for single purpose. You know, I've seen short-haired pointers, I've seen labs. I've got a chance to work with Preble County's bloodhound on a track. So there's dogs out there for every sort of different thing, but there's cadaver dogs.
Yeah.
They do all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So when it comes to single purpose, it could be any different type of dogs out there.
Are the single purpose dogs any less money than a dual purpose?
They can be, yeah. Just depends upon their breed, their bloodline, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Where you get them.
Gotcha. Well, maybe talk a little bit about, like, today's training. What are we looking at doing today?
So outline, we started here, but we're going to meet over at one of our training facilities that we've been graciously allowed to train in over at the state hospital. We're going to meet with a couple other different agencies, and we're going to start with some narcotics training inside of a building. So as if the scenario is set up to where we have blank rooms and we have hot rooms, and a handler and his dog, you know, myself or somebody else will go place training aids out, and then that handler and dog have no idea where those training aids are, and they have to work their way through that room, each room, and either say, hey, there's nothing in this room, or there's odor in this corner over here, or there's odor tucked underneath that chair. And they have to call that odor out, and if they're right, then, you know, hey, cool, we'll move on to the next one. If they're wrong, it's like, hey, no, you keep moving. Did you mess it up? You need to rerun this because something's wrong. Let's figure out what's going on. So we'll start doing that. It'd be kind of like if we had already done a search warrant and we're going to bring a dog into the house to try to help us locate the narcotics a little bit easier. Then we'll go into we'll do our tracking. Once everybody gets their tracks done, we're going to try to push our dogs a little bit further today. I want to see over 400-yard tracks. So we'll do that, and that'll be hard surface and soft surface. Then we'll push into doing vehicles. So we'll do narcotics in vehicles, which is, I would say, primarily mostly what we do is we get called to help disrupt the transportation and distribution of narcotics. So that's like our primary job, I would probably say. So we'll do some narcotics in vehicles, and then we'll get a quick lunch, and we'll get into the good stuff. We'll get into the patrol work. And depending upon what we've noticed with each dog needs at the previous training, or say Jake comes across something, he's like, man, hey, I struggled with this on this deployment the other day. They can come to me and say, hey, we struggle with this. Can we work it in a training? So like today we're going to work at like bark at the door for building search for man. Whether you come across a burglary and you cut your dog loose into say Dollar General and somebody's hiding in a closet. Well, I don't want that dog to come back to me after he finds the person in the closet. I want him to stay there, bark at the door, get that person's attention. Like, hey, come out, dude, or bad things are going to happen. So we'll work that, and we're going to do some the daddy drills, and there's going to be some testing on the obedience, working the obedience there. And then we'll do probably some runaway bites with multiple decoys stuff to make sure that the target locking and making sure that the handler has control of the dog even off lead.
So are you guys training just you guys today, or do we have other agencies training today?
We'll have other agencies. County's going to be there. They're going to be in and out. I know that they're actually working shift, so they're going to pop in while they have a chance, and then they'll have to pop back out. I believe, I know for a fact there's going to be at least one Fayette County dog. He's coming up. He was at SWAT training the other day.
Is that the new handler?
Yep.
Yeah.
New handler.
Which is great. I mean, for him to be able to come train with another agency and see somebody that's been doing it a little bit longer. And
yeah, and I think what's really cool, Jake sent me a text the other day to talk through whoever that was that sent you that text.
I had somebody from Portland Police Department send me a message and said that he loved what we were doing with our K9 program and enjoys seeing everything that we got going on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it just speaks volumes to what we're doing, that we have outside agencies reaching out and saying that they're loving what we're doing.
Yeah, and I think it's the same way kind of with SWAT. I mean, wouldn't you agree, Brandon? I mean, we've had some trainings that we've recently done in the last year or two that's been with other agencies, other teams. I mean, we recently trained with Randolph County, and those are, kind of like our neighbors. So in the need of, hey, we need them, they need us, we can roll.
And I think it's great because, we work with guys from Cambridge City, our handlers from Cambridge City, our handlers from Hagerstown County, Fayette County, Union County, if they come up, Connorsville, all these different local agencies. And we're trying to work into where we can start working into Preble County and Darke County, work with their dogs as well. So getting different eyes. So if I'm running my dog, I may run my dog for a lot longer than what Brandon, even if I've had a dog for 8 years and I do something, Brandon's standing back there behind the camera and he goes, missed that one, didn't you? After I get done with it, he can go, hey man, you missed a big head throw over there. It's like, oh man, I thought I saw it, but.
And what do you mean by that?
It's just a change of behavior. So that's what we're looking for when we're doing detection is our changes of behavior, and having these other guys around, having different agencies and different eyes on you while you're working your dog or you watching their dogs. You may see something that their dog does and you're like, and I saw my dog do that, and that's a change of behavior. I don't see my dog do that very often. So you don't see it, get different eyes on, two sets are better than one. So it definitely helps us.
Yeah, maybe Brandon, talk a little bit about, like, if, you're working patrol, whether you self-initiate a traffic stop for something or another officer does, and you make the decision that you're going to get your dog out, and walk us through that process of what you're thinking and what that looks like when you're going to go and do that search.
Yeah, so it starts off, pretty much we try to keep it, at least I do, keep it the same every time, to get into that routine. Dogs kind of work in pictures to where, they need to see something the same every time. So that setup, setting the car up, that's where it starts. Once the occupants have kind of been controlled to whether they're in the car or out of the car for the safety of the officers and the dog and just the general public. So we try to keep the environment as safe as possible for the dogs to work. Once the dogs work, or once the dogs are the car is set up, we go retrieve the dogs from car, kind of give them a few of our commands, depending on the dog and what the flavor of the dog is. Some of the dogs automatically know, hey, what I'm going to do. They're already set up. Ski's been at this a lot longer than some of the other dogs. Some of the dogs need to be given a few commands to let them know, hey, we're not just going up here to do apprehension work. Hey, we're going to go up here and we're going to go look for a target odor or narcotics. So we go up there. Our starting point doesn't really matter for us on the car. A lot of times it is the back passenger bumper, just because it's kind of easy. That's where we're the closest to. And then we send the dogs off, and they're kind of just using their nose to sniff around the car. And we're just kind of the dumb end of the leash, as they say. And we're just holding on and making sure that they're staying on task, making sure that they're hitting all the productive areas where their odor could be, or where narcotics could be hid. So they're working around that car. Once they get as close to the odor, the target odor that they're looking for on that vehicle, or it could be anything, it could be a house, but specifically traffic stops. Once they get as close as they possibly can, then they're given their payment. At that point, they're given their payment, they've done their job, and we're just kind of in a standstill until the other officers on scene detain those individuals, and then the dog goes up and we start searching the vehicle to see if we can find any contraband.
So when you talk about contraband or narcotics, and maybe we don't want to dive too much into the specifics, but the dogs are looking for more than just one potential type of contraband, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's different, probably narcotics that the dogs can detect the odor of. So it's not just one particular thing. Is it worth mentioning what those are? Is that something that's...
So there's dogs out there that do some narcotics, and there's dogs that do other narcotics. But it's the same thing with like bomb dogs. So bomb dogs, they search for specific target odors that they're trained to locate. Like our dogs, they search for a chemical compound that creates the narcotic itself. They're not smelling, like they don't come up and they smell, oh, that's white monster. They know for a fact that that's white monster. They're smelling it. No, they're smelling every single ingredient that makes that white monster. So we call it, over the years they've called it the stew theory. We do a lot of community engagement with the kids and stuff. I like to use pizza because everybody likes pizza. So I tell it this way. So the dogs don't just smell the pizza. They smell the pepperonis. They smell the oregano. They smell the cheese, the different types of cheese, salt that's in the bread, anything, the butter, anything and everything that makes that pizza. They're able to smell those odors and separate them. And they go, oh, that's a target odor. Yep, that's a target odor. Okay, now I can show a passive final. So that's really what they're looking for, is those chemical compounds that create those narcotics. And those are what are considered the target odors.
Well, and again, going back to my days in patrol where we had a stop and we wanted to, have the dog come up and do the open air search around. I mean, it's a great tool, for us because, again, by law and constitutionally, we can bring that dog out and walk it around a car. And again, I think, earlier I mentioned the word evolution. I remember our dogs years ago, they were a little bit more maybe aggressive once they found the odor. Like they would actually go up and start, pawing or digging kind of at it. And, again, you've got to worry about the dog potentially scratching something, doing damage. You guys are shaking heads, but the dogs don't do that right now. The way that they're trained is a little bit more, I hate to use the word passive,
well,
but
that's what we call it. It's more of a passive final indication.
Yeah.
Because we don't want that dog, biting at the car or scratching at the car or something of that nature. Even because if it was in here and say there was something on the floor and he indicates on it, I don't want him biting it, and now he's ingesting that possibly. So it's just kind of a little bit more of a stand back safety feature for us.
Well, and again, that's something when you started to talk about that, I was thinking, these dogs, just like us, there's that risk to not knowing what that potential narcotic is. If the dog were to even if they're not pawing at it, something that's maybe in a vehicle that you don't see, that maybe is, something that's a partially ripped bag here, and the dog gets into it, it's going to have the same effects on the dog as that it would, a human. Are there measures and things that you guys have in place for those types of situations?
I believe you guys just got some of them.
Yeah, so
See, I knew that. That's why I asked.
yeah, so all of us carry Narcan for our dogs. I keep mine. We also just got big med kits from
Protecting Canine Heroes.
Protecting Canine Heroes. They sent us all a med kit.
Awesome.
So we all have that.
And are they local?
It's an agency. I believe it's through Indiana, but they supply medical supplies all over the United States, and they don't just do police dogs. They do military working dogs. They do search and rescue dogs. Protecting Canine Heroes they provide more than just the medical kits as well. They also provide ballistic vest, which each one of these guys just got a brand new ballistic vest to them as well. It's a nonprofit. I mean, they're incredible. So the med kits that they gave, it's like a full size backpack med kit, and they have a ballistic vest to them as well.
It's got everything in it. So it's got a blanket in there. So if something was to happen to your dog, they have some comfort feature that they can have with them on the way to the hospital if needed. And then I also have another med kit that there's like more advanced stuff in there. So there's stuff like if they have a collapsed lung, or stuff to help them if they ingest some like a narcotic or something like that to help them throw it up. I have a stapler in there just in case they get cut real bad, just something quick to seal them up real quick to get them to a vet to get stitched and everything like that. So we have measures to help prevent things.
Yeah. So talking, I guess, a little bit about, training that you guys do. So you're going to work on, odor detection today. You're going to work a little bit on tracking, and again, talking about tracking, I'm sure that the weather, like today, it's a little bit rainy, do those elements, or can they affect the way those dogs track?
I would say that they can, but to be honest with you, it's not going to affect a dog where it can't happen. Odor is destroyed by UV rays. So on a cloudy, rainy day, if I take a step on the grass, that odor is just pooling there in that rainwater that's sitting there in that mud puddle. It's just that odor sitting there. So it actually kind of traps the odor a little bit more. And it makes it a little bit easier for the dog to be in a specific track. Now, if the wind's blowing across the road and your track's on this side of the road, that dog may pull his way over here to the edge of it. But once he comes out of that odor, he's going to be like, hey, that's not right. I'm going to work my way back over. Oh, there it is. So our dogs are pretty doggone good at tracking.
Yeah, and I know that, and that's what made me think of, and it may not be the most recent, but it's one that just came into my head sitting here, but who was it that responded out to Lowe's? And I was thinking it was you, Jake. So could you remember what that call was and how that all kind of played out? And
yeah, it was a guy that escaped like work release or something like that. He cut off his ankle bracelet and took off running when the probation officer got there. He cut his ankle bracelet off, threw it on the ground. Obviously, that's going to hold a bunch of odor on it, so we picked that up.
So they tried to initially apprehend him, and then he fled.
Out of the back of Lowe's, yeah, and jumped like an 8-foot privacy fence. And I was like, I'm not throwing my dog over an 8-foot privacy fence. We'll walk around. They told me by watching the camera, like what he was wearing, the shoes that he was wearing, all of that. I didn't even make it to the fence to where he jumped over at. I found a footprint of his and confirmed that was the shoe that he was wearing. And then tracked it, I think it was like 175, 180 yards right to where he was at. And, gave commands for him to come out.
So he was up against the house, kind of
in a bush.
Behind some bushes. I was actually sitting kind of up at a kind of an overwatch position, and I remember watching, you and the dog, and and again, we know this in law enforcement. It's like we want to kind of keep that area preserved, keep as few people as we can from walking into that area. So I'm kind of getting like an overview of watching all this kind of happen, and of course, not knowing where the guy is. Once your dog was on that scent, like he was going, he was pulling you.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, this is good.
Took me right to him.
Going to catch him.
Yeah.
And then you guys, I lost view of you from where I was at. You kind of went around some houses. and it was maybe a minute and a half later, I heard you say, "Hey, we've got one in custody."
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. You work 4 weeks of doing that kind of stuff to try to. You see it like on a bite suit. And, you know, your adrenaline's high during that, and then you get to out in the real world and you see your dog actually work with real humans on a real human scent and actually get a bite. And it was cool. He never came off the bite once, and until we got him in custody. There was 3 or 4 other officers that pulled him out of the bush, and I was pulling him one way, and then next thing I know, I'm getting drugged through the bush with this guy from the officers pulling him out. And then that dog never moved, never came off until I told him to come off the bite.
So was your dog still on lead then?
Yeah, he was on a 30-foot tracking leash.
Yeah. So why do you guys do that? I mean, why not just let that dog go and let him, do his searching on his own?
Well, I can tell you one thing. I'm not as fast as that dog.
No.
So I got to be able to keep up with him. It's just kind of a control measure more for us. I mean, you could run a 60-foot lead if you wanted to. Just kind of depends. But 30 foot's usually what we run. Kind of gives us good eyes on a dog. It's a little bit easier to control depending upon where you're at. Whether you're going over a fence or you're in a wood line, like the track I did yesterday, we were in the woods. So you wrap a 60-foot lead around a tree. It's a dog who has its own brain and heart. If he wants to go around this tree, he's going to go around the tree twice. And now I've got to figure out how to unwrap this 60-foot lead.
Yeah,
so
you're right. They do certain things really well, but they're still dogs.
Yeah, they're still dogs.
They don't understand that they've wrapped themselves around the tree.
Yeah, it's like, I know Dad's got a hold of me, but I don't know that, it's going to wrap itself around this tree. So.
Yeah. So maybe talk a little bit about, we'll start to wrap things up here a little bit. I know we're excited to get out and get you guys at training today, which, we're excited to go out and do some filming. So I think the plan for the day on our end, because again, not having the dogs in here, we kind of want to have you guys do, maybe an introduction, again, with your dog, and then watch you guys do some work today. I mean, I think that'll be cool. That's not something that we've been able to do on any of the other podcasts, but to actually step back and watch you guys work. I know from me, K9's something that I've never done in my career. It's something that I've always kind of like SWAT, early in my career. I'm like, man, kind of had to make a decision. But I still tell people all the time, like, there's 2 things that always impress me about the dog. One, and I watched your dog do this recently. When that dog is shaking and he's ready to go to work, and say he's ready to make a bite on the bite suit, in the training scenario, and let's say it's 50 yards, and you let that missile go, and he gets 25 yards, and then you give your command for him to, I don't know the word stop, but, all of a sudden that dog puts on the brakes, stops, and is just sitting there shaking, waiting to just get that command to go make the apprehension. Like, that is like so trained, for a dog to be able to do that. I just think that's the ultimate level. And I think the other thing that's crazy about the dogs is how they can just be so social as well. Talking about Dane and Boss, I remember when he first got him, he brought him into the office, and I was sitting at a desk, and he's in between my legs, and the tail's wagging, and and unfortunately I got labeled, Grandpa. Let's go see Grandpa. But for the dogs to be, that social, but to be that trained. I remember being on SWAT call outs where we would have somebody barricaded in, say, a hotel room. We had a guy that committed a bank robbery, and, we're kind of, trying to get him, coercing him to come out. He doesn't want to come out. And as soon as the dog gets on scene, K9 handler gives some commands, dog's barking, and within seconds, hands are up, yep. I'm coming out. Because it's like, nobody wants to get bit. And again, talking about those apprehensions that you guys do, I mean, that is a tool that keeps us safe. You know what I mean? It keeps the community safe. It keeps these, poisons, as you tell the little kids, these narcotics, off the street. So, getting out and using those dogs, I mean, they're definitely worth all the money that we, spend on them through the community. But talking about that, I'm like, what's the normal cost, you think, for the dog and the training and just that initial cost? That's
just the initial handler and dog itself. So the handler course and the dog, you're looking at roughly about $30,000. With that being said, though, I mean, that doesn't include, your extra equipment, whether it's muzzles or water bowls throughout the day, a water container for the dog. Well, now you have to worry about, luckily we got med kits and we got vests for free, but some agencies haven't gotten that. But what about the car? So you have to have a car. You have to have a special car that has a kennel in it. You have to have a hot and pop system. You have to have all of these different tools.
So what do you mean by that, hot pop system?
So we have systems in our car that regulate the temperature, or I want to say regulates, it maintains. So it keeps a constant eye on what the temperature is. So if it gets too hot in the car or too cold in the car, you can set your temperatures. An alarm system will start going off. Windows will roll down. Lights will turn on. And it will start notifying the public, like, hey, there's the horn will start going off. And somebody's going to be like, what the heck's going on with this car? I've been on a call in the middle of the summertime, 98 degrees outside. My alarm starts going off. I'm like, I gotta go make sure my dog's okay.
Well, and there's times that you guys, just by the job that we do, you're out of the car, maybe not the dog out of the car, and you're assisting on something else on that hot day and making sure that dog's safe.
Yeah,
is important.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The heat stroke it's probably the main reason why law enforcement dogs are lost, is because of heat stroke. So you overheat a dog, it can be detrimental to their career, let alone their lives. So that hot and pop systems, it's almost like mandatory to have that. And it's a pop system for us. If we get in a fight with a suspect or something like that, we've got a button that we can hit, and good luck.
Yeah.
Here comes my best friend.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's no greater feeling than that, to know that 20, 30 feet away, you've got, your partner in there. And I know from, the guys that have been canine handlers in the past, I mean, that bond that you build with that dog is like second to none. It's no different than, I guess, like for individuals and their home pet, you build that bond. And, but for you guys, it's unique because it's every day, it's at work, and we understand the inherent risk that we take in what we do. And, the fights, the chases, and those things, and to have, your partner, your dog there with you that, can be deployed with the push of a button from your cars is a good feeling. And I know
it's also scary though.
Yeah.
You're sending your best friend. I mean, I spend more time with my dog than I do my wife and kid.
Yeah.
And you're sending your best friend into a room that you haven't cleared.
Yeah.
And you're like, God, I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
Every single time you send him in. So it can be scary as well.
Yeah, especially when they don't respond when you're yelling their names.
Yeah.
Because like their dogs, they'll bark at a door when somebody's in there. Like he was saying, my dog, he just goes and lays down. Like he's sniffing for narcotics or whatever.
Yeah.
Like he'll find the human odor behind a door and he'll just sit there. And, it's kind of scary when you don't hear your dog barking or moving or anything like that. So makes your nerves go a little bit through the roof.
We're working on it though.
Yeah.
We're getting that. That's part of the training today. So
That's that puppy mentality too. So he's still learning. So.
Yeah, they're dogs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe Brandon, go back to you just a little bit. Maybe talk about, I guess, the dogs. And I was kind of trying to go through my list of things I wanted to make sure we didn't miss. And there's a couple things I wouldn't mind kind of talking about. But are you guys on call? What's your normal? I know we have 4 dogs, but are there times that there isn't a dog on shift that you guys have to?
Yeah, so like all things, life happens, right? We're humans too. So we have sick days, birthdays, vacations. So we have kind of not necessarily a rotation, but we have a system in place to where if a dog is needed, one can be hauled out from off duty into an on duty status, and then that dog would be available to the public. Luckily, it's not just in our training group. It's called East Central Indiana Training Canine Group. So all of the dogs across the county or East Central Indiana, for the most part, can be made available as well. If there's no city dogs working and a county dog's working, the dog from the county would come into the city, and vice versa. We're able to go out into the county. There's some time constraints and different parameters for all the dogs, but the availability of dogs has never been greater throughout East Central Indiana.
Yeah. I know for at least for you guys being on the SWAT team, the dogs are part of that team as well. They get used. I know the training that we did the other day, again, it was doing some apprehension work from, our armored vehicle, the Bearcat, and for me, sitting inside and seeing it, I mean, it's such a great tool to have, and again, I think it significantly always reduces that risk to us, of having to make that approach on a vehicle, and again, I mean, we hate to put the dogs at those risks as well, obviously, but that's why we have those dogs. Like you said, it's hard to send your dog in and you don't hear, like you're calling it doesn't respond, and and I've been on enough SWAT call outs over the years where we have sent a dog into a room or an area and it's unknown. You don't know if somebody armed in there with a knife, a gun, and then you have to deal with that. But is there, I guess, a couple things I want to kind of wrap up with. One, are there any, like dog food? I mean, do you guys buy your own dog food? How does that work?
We've been pretty fortunate. Hill's Pets Food, they have donated our dog food for years. I couldn't tell you how long they've donated our dog food. So we get all of our dog food for free from Hill's, and they're gracious enough, even after the dogs retire, they still provide the food to the handler after the dog's retired. So at no cost, they've been phenomenal with us. Dane's dog was having some gut issues and wasn't handling the food very well. We tried a couple different things, sensitivity foods, this and that. So we ended up going with a different dog food for him. Blue Buffalo has been supplying him with some food. Seems like it's working pretty well. So, and it's the same thing with Blue Buffalo. And I believe like County and them, they use Blue Buffalo. So having those corporations around have been incredible, because I've got buddies who are different agencies who are handlers, and they're like, man, we got to buy our dog food. I'm like, dude, that's a lot of money to go through a year. I mean, as much as our dogs eat.
Well, not only that, I mean, these dogs are eating like really good dog food.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a dog that's, $30,000 or whatever, and you want to make sure you're giving that dog what it needs to perform at its best as well. So, any other big supporters, that you might want to mention? I know the VFW has always been a huge supporter. I mean, I know just this morning, you pulled up in your cruiser and you got something on the side window. Maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the VFW donated everything for my dog. They donated the money so we could buy it. So we just a thank you to them. We put stickers on my window. It just says sponsored by, and then the VFW, and it's got a big American flag on both sides of my car.
Yeah,
it's cool to have the sponsors like that. The VFW, and they outright said, no, we will buy the dog. We'll pay for the training. So to have community relations like that is huge. We have the marathon on the west side. I don't know if you know Raj.
Yeah, I know Raj.
So Raj has made multiple donations to the K9 program, as well as the foundation for Seara. I mean, he's all about it. Anything and everything that he can do to help, whether it's the dogs or the police department alone. He's always been there. Primex. It's kind of hard, to be honest with you, to go around the community and say, hey, would you come out and help our dogs? And when somebody goes, no, I'm okay, you don't get that very often, because everybody loves a dog.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, and again, this is these podcasts are obviously what we're doing today, just talking about our agency, our officers, our dogs. But I always find the big value in knowing that there's a lot of different individuals and businesses that support what we do and support our programs. I mean, again, you said it at the beginning that there's no real established budget for the dogs and the program and all that stuff. So, I mean, hearing that our dogs, get these vests, that they get the food, that they've even being purchased, the training and everything. I mean, that's huge, know, and let's shift gears maybe a little bit. I know May 16th is going to be the Seara Burton Canine Legacy Trials.
Yes,
I'd like to talk a little bit about that. I know that I'm hoping that we can get this podcast out before then. That way maybe people can watch it and not only see a little bit about it and get motivated, but can show up that day and support the event. I guess I'll leave that up to our guys behind camera. If we can get that done, they're giving me a thumbs up. So we'll get everything edited and get it out maybe the week of the event. But talk a little bit about maybe all of you guys. I know you guys haven't competed in it yet. Did you compete last year? So start off with you, Kiefer, and just talk a little bit about the event itself and what it means to the community, the agency, and really most importantly, just Seara.
Man, That's kind of you get me a little bit.
Oh, I know it's tough.
So, the event itself was, the foundation came up and they were like, "Hey, we want to do this. We want to make another event for Seara in honor of her, but we want to start making the proceeds go to the foundation." And what Seara's foundation, Seara Burton's Canine Foundation, is they are working kind of alongside with these other places like Protecting Canine Heroes, and locally they've donated quite a bit of money to different agencies and places that may not be as fortunate as we were as the VFW to pay for an entire dog, but hey, they can donate a little bit of money towards, let's get you a vest, let's get you some medical equipment, you need a bite sleeve, something of that nature. So they're working their way up, and they're getting bigger and bigger. They're doing a phenomenal job providing that kind of stuff. But the event itself, it kind of got brought into light for that reason. That, and to really remember what Seara's biggest love was. I mean, this was her dream job, which she got it. She was phenomenal at it. Her and her dog Brev were incredible. But this was the only thing that she ever really wanted to do was work a dog. And when she got that opportunity, she took full effect into it.
Oh yeah.
So,
and again, she was our first female canine handler on the agency, which was
doesn't
surprise
me through Seara.
with her. Yeah, 100%. I remember, and I tell this story, like she was new to the department, and we were doing firearms training that week, and I was, one of the instructors, and we went to lunch, and we went to Mancino's that day. We all sat down, and everybody's ordering like either grinders or pizzas or whatever. You're shaking your head because you know where I'm going.
Yep.
And she's like drinking a jug of water and eating protein bars. And but like that's how committed that girl was,
oh, yeah.
To her physical conditioning, but to just, I think, the way she approached anything. Firearms that week, I remember her having some, like everybody, when you go down that week, you always want to shoot here and you're working to get there, and her just being hard on herself and be like, I'm not shooting at 100 yet, and that's the kind of drive that, you want out of your officers and, particularly canine handlers. Because again, like you said, the dog is a reflection of, the canine guys. So if you've got canine handlers that, maybe aren't as motivated to get out and do things, then the dog's not going to get that type of work. But so the event is the 16th.
It is the 16th.
At the fairgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what time it kicks off?
So it's actually kind of a little bit different this year. So the foundation is also putting on the Seara Burton Challenge the same day. So
which is the 140 fitness challenge.
Yeah, it's like the 140 fitness challenge. So I believe that's going to start around 8 a.m. And so the 5K will take place, and then the fitness challenge. And then right around noonish, we should be kicking off the trials. And the different events are, you have your vehicles, so your detection stuff, open area. Then we have our OB and obstacle course, which is usually a big hit because you get to see the dogs not listen to their handlers every once in a while and mess things up. But then I would say the biggest one, and I think everybody's favorite, is the hard dog, fast dog. You get to see a little bit of the patrol work. You get to see the bite work. And, we have great decoys. Mike and his team over there, they come out and they do the bite work for us every year. And you get to see Mike get hit with some really incredible dogs. And we get dogs from all over the place. I mean, we had guys drive 3.5 hours last year.
Yeah,
come out and participate.
Last year, how many dogs did we have?
I think we had 37 dogs last year sign up. I think we had roughly about 35. I think a couple of them ended up getting pulled back to shift and weren't able to make it. But
yeah, and when you talk about the hard dog, fast dog, again being the probably the most exciting, popular event, that is basically seeing how fast that dog can run 40 yards and make an apprehension, right?
Yep.
And I know last year we had kind of moved it from the first year to the second year where we actually did the hard dog, fast dog event, but it's right there on like that drag strip, bleachers on both sides. So everybody's got a great seat. You got this whole crowd of people watching. And did you do it last year?
Yeah.
So did you feel a little additional stress or pressure because you got all these spectators and you're hoping your dog, doesn't run right past the decoy?
Well, you always want your dog to perform. I think the entire day is kind of somewhat stressful because a lot of times, when you're working your dog out on the road, you don't have people watching. and judging you. And you don't have that many handlers standing around watching and judging you. At training, there's times where you go into a room and you might mess something up, trip over your lead or something. You're like, oh, these guys just watched me trip over my own lead. So it's kind of embarrassing, but you get out there in front of them. And it can be a little bit stressful, but all in all, the trials, the biggest part about it is remembering what Seara was about, coming out, having fun. And it's also, we're able to provide this training. It's a training day. You're doing everything. We've got it set up to where it's specific to pretty much what you do on the road.
And you guys get training, I guess, hours, credits, whatever for that training that day.
We were able to push it out, put it in your training records. We put out all of our different training aids. Like, this is the weights, these are the amounts, locations. So people are allowed to put that in their training records, and we want them to. We want them to come out and train, meet other handlers, enjoy the camaraderie. Canine world is so small, it's ridiculous. I've met guys that up from Lake County that I went to school with. When I went to Von Lick, one of them was going through a trainer's course for Von Lick, and then now his buddy was getting a dog up at Ultimate Canine as well. But I met them at the Protecting Canine Heroes event. It's such a small world.
Yeah.
So having the guys come out and be a part of it and experience it, kind of understand what Seara's passion was and love for it.
Yeah,
and how much that meant to her.
Yeah, and I think the big thing for us as an agency and as community is just to have her, legacy continue on.
Absolutely.
It's been a few years now, and we don't want to forget her and forget her passion. And this is a way to kind of honor her, and again to bring people that are like-minded to come in. And I know that the event itself, there'll be apparel that's being sold that day. There'll be some food trucks. It's kind of an all-day kind of event, so you can come early and stay all day. You can just pop in. You can, come and get a T-shirt. You can make a donation. All those things I think are, a good way to honor her. But like, this will be like you guys both competing in it this year. Yeah. So I guess give me your thoughts. Are there any nerves, any concerns, anything?
Oh, for sure, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Like I said, I got a young dog, so, and for me, it's the first time I've ever done anything like this, so
yeah,
it's very nerve-wracking.
Yeah. How about you, Brandon?
Yeah, I think anytime that you step on a bigger stage, there's going to be some nerves there. You don't know, and it always seems that anything that's going to go wrong is going to go wrong right when everybody's watching. You can do everything, you can do 100 times, and that one time it goes wrong, or the dog, just gets a mind of their own or does something that's totally out of character. It's going to be in something like this. So, there's as a canine handler, you ask for some grace sometimes and understand that, they are animals. They're imperfect creatures, just like us. And, so it'll be a good time. It'll be a learning experience. But the biggest thing for us is the community event, remembering Seara, remembering what she sacrificed, remembering what her passions were. And that's the way that we're keeping her memory alive.
Yeah. I remember we were talking about the obstacle course, and I remember watching the dog last year, and there was a wall that's probably, 5 foot? And for the life of the dog, did not want to go over the wall. Like, obviously the dog's smart enough, like, I'm just going to go around the wall. Mm-hmm. And the handler kept giving him commands, and then finally he's like, he's not going over that wall. I think the dog probably physically could have, just wasn't thinking, that part of it. So going back to the first year we did it, do you remember the handler who won that first year?
Yeah, Andy Parmalee from Rushville and his canine Reeks. We're fortunate enough where we get to train with Andy and his canine once a month over in Indianapolis, and they are incredible. They're coming back this year. Hopefully, I'm pretty sure he's signed up already. They're coming back to compete this year. They weren't able to last year. He had prior engagements that he had to attend. I think he was running some race or something crazy. He's pretty out there.
In a good way.
When it comes to physical fitness, like, you look at him, you're like, all right, man, you win.
Well, it's funny because I was sitting in the bleachers at the obstacle course that day, didn't know who he was, and they had not done the hard dog, fast dog yet. Like, I think all the other events are kind of going on, and then they save that event so everybody can watch it. This guy comes up, sits down with his family and kids, and he's talking. I don't know anything about this guy, but he was excited for the hard dog, fast dog. And then after watching his dog, compete in that event, I understand why, because that dude was a missile.
Yeah.
And you go back and, I think Scott and his crew were out there doing some filming of the dogs that day. And, you go back and watch some of the videos and you'll see that some of the dogs will run, and right before they make that apprehension or that bite, they kind of slow down, so they can stop and then make a lunge or grab. And then you've got dogs that are at full speed that aren't slowing down. And I think that was his dog. That dude came in hot like a missile, hit the handler that was holding that had the suit on, and tumbled him and got up. And so, again, that's all cool, fun, exciting to, stuff,
Absolutely.
To definitely see. Anything else about the event that we're maybe forgetting?
I think the biggest thing is come out, be a part of it. Remember what she was about, enjoy the time, see what our dogs do, and as much work as these guys put in. I can't be happier with as much work as, our teams have put in, and the local teams, and even the guys that travel, seeing them come back year after year and how much better they've gotten each year. It's really cool to watch. So come out and be a part of that. Remember Seara, get some good food, get a couple shirts. I would say the only thing that we do ask is we just want to make sure that we don't bring any outside pets in, just because there are working dogs, and these working dogs have that alpha mentality, and we don't want to have any conflict with.
Well, and your guys' dogs are trained. Most civilian dogs aren't, so it's probably the other dog that you'd have to be more worried about. But
right.
Kind of avoiding that.
We do ask that. Definitely come out, be a part of it, enjoy it. Make a couple donations. That way, they can help out agencies just like ours that, want to get better and want to help our community.
Yeah.
So.
And one thing, I got kind of sidetracked in my thoughts, but we talked about the first year winner. Let's talk about who the second year winner was. Come on.
It wasn't me.
Yeah.
Tyler Green from Wayne County. Tyler Green and his K9 Scup. I think that they had just recently graduated from Ultimate Canine when they came out and competed. We get to train with Tyler twice a month, each month, so he's local as well. He goes to the Indianapolis group with us, and Tyler and Scup they're a phenomenal team. And like I said earlier, dogs are just like their handlers. Those two are exactly the same. They're very laid back, chill. Like, all right, let's go do it. And to watch them work and watch the growth that they've made over the last couple of years, it's incredible. And I'm excited for him to be there again this year. And Andy be there, because as much as we want to win, we want to push ourselves. We want to see how good we are, how much better we've gotten. So I'm hoping this year, I know that these guys want to definitely win, but I'm hoping I can make a little bit of a comeback and maybe knock those guys off the totem pole a little bit.
So is Dane going to get to compete as well?
All four of our dogs will be there to compete. I believe both county dogs are going to compete as well. So we're super excited.
I don't want to put any pressure on you fellas, but come on now.
I know it. It's making us look bad. We got to figure something out.
And it's all in good spirits, right? I mean, it's good to see that we've got 30 some handlers from all over the area, and some 3-4 hours away that get to come and highlight their dog. And again, I think it's a great event for the community to come out and just support you guys, support the foundation. Absolutely. And we have so many other supporters that behind the scenes that come out and do stuff. Apex Workwear, and they typically do something with the shirts and
they're going to be there this year,
the apparel and everything. So give them a shout out. And I know last year we probably had 40 different businesses, individuals that made donations to the foundation. So there's a lot of love. Sometimes I think
it'd be hard to spread, because my wife's kind of the head of that. She tracks a bunch of that. Her and the rest of them, they do all that. I just kind of do the hands-on stuff.
You just do the dummy grunt work.
Yeah, the dummy grunt work.
The Kiefer work.
She tells me, she points and tells me, and I say, okay.
Yeah. Anything else you guys can think of? Maybe one last little quick story that you can think of that you'd want to share about the dog, a deployment, anything?
I got one just the other night. Had a guy run from me. Got my dog out. Ultimately didn't end up finding the guy. He got through our little perimeter that we had set up, but we found a house that was vacant and open. So we thought maybe he was hiding in there. So I had a couple guys with me, send the dog in just like in training. We cleared through the house, and the guys that were with me were not scared at all of that dog. The dog didn't pay no attention to him, running between their legs and around him. He knew what he was doing. And these dogs that we have, they're trained, like they see the vest, they see all the stuff on, they know that, it's probably going to be a good guy and to just keep working. Yeah. So I thought it was pretty cool. Him being that young and never doing anything like that in real world, he just went out there and ran through everybody.
And I know that all of you guys, will find those guys that you work with or gals on a regular, daily basis and say, hey, let's go practice this, go practice that. That way the dogs are getting acclimated. Yeah. I mean, I know the other day at SWAT training when we were, taking the suspect, guy in the bite suit out of the car, once the dog was made its apprehension, our officers were going up and literally going hands-on with the dog still attached, to the suspect. And, there's always still like in your mind, like, well, what if he sees my arm grab and now he thinks that's, so it's again, we had no hiccups yesterday in any of that training. I mean, the dogs did great.
And I think it's a testament not just to the dogs and the handlers, but to the rest of our agency. The guys, we've definitely upped our training over the last couple of years for sure. But the canine wise, I feel like the guys are getting more involved. Guys and gals, the department is getting more involved. They want to work around the dogs. They want to be a part of it. Before that training, I sat down and we were doing our safety brief and whatnot, and I was walking them through like, hey, look, I don't want you guys to be afraid, because we had some guys that were on the team that weren't there last year when we worked the dog into some of the trainings, and some of the older guys, have been worked around Ski quite a bit because he's always been on the team ever since he's gotten to the department, and he's been on multiple deployments with us, so they were really comfortable with him. Well, some of the newer guys that are on the team, they hadn't been around him as much, especially in close proximity, confined spaces, a car. And I told him, I'm like, he's your best friend in this situation. Just jump in there. And they did a phenomenal job. They're not afraid of it. Just like on Jake's track to a bite, they jumped in there and they were able to do their job. And I think it's a testament to our training and us pushing ourselves and pushing our colleagues to get better.
Yeah. Any stories, Brian? Anything?
No, we're still pretty new, so nothing exciting as that. We haven't got a bite yet. We're the last dog in the county that hasn't got an apprehension. So pretty soon, as summer kicks up, there's more people out moving, more crime is afoot. I'm sure the opportunities will at least be there.
Yeah, that 6 p.m. to 4 a.m. Summertime, and you're catching when it's in full swing on second shift, full swing in third shift, and then catching the tail end when things, die down, which, personally, I think that's, a great shift for you guys to work and also to work for the community, instead of kind of having that maybe traditional, hours. It still works the other way, but I think that if we can, like you explained earlier, know where the needs are and where we need to meet those needs, it's good that we've got that schedule.
We've got it laid out to where, there's very, very small time frames in the city where the dogs aren't there.
Yeah.
And the overlaps are greater than the ones where we don't have them. So it allows them to be there during the busy times of shift, but it also allows them the time to be proactive and go out and find it.
Yeah. I'm telling you, all of us love working our dogs. So if we get a phone call, we're coming in.
Oh, yeah. And that's good. That just tells me that we've got the right officers in the right position for the right reasons that, are passionate about what they do. Because, again, more than probably any other position on the department, because the responsibilities don't end when you go home. You're on call, which detectives and SWAT are, but you still have that little furry animal to take care of 24/7 and vacations and all day. And, the dog does something at home. It's, you've got to take care of that. I appreciate you guys coming on. Any stories that you can think of?
I got quite a few of them.
And if anybody knows Kiefer, I would say we have to make the stories to where people, the viewers, can hear the stories, because I know you've always got really good stories. But
we our very first apprehension, I'll say it was kind of a cluster. It's not something that is your normal apprehension that takes place. So that one's kind of an offbeat. But I would probably say like one of my favorite things that with dogs, like I won't even say about my own dog. Dane got out of school, came back. I was working day shift. Captain Lips calls me. He says, "Hey, we just had a kid leave Hibbard. He just dropped his backpack and walked off, and he's gone." He's like, "Are you guys available?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." So Dane and I showed up over at Hibbard. We ended up getting a scent off the backpack, and it's really cool because I was able to watch Dane track this dog and me be there and kind of help guide a little bit, like, hey, there's a head throw, we're turning right, and him picking up and noticing that as well. And we tracked exactly over. So I believe a teacher ended up locating the child before we got there. But Dane had no idea where the child had been located at. Captain Lips called me, said, "Hey, they picked him up on this corner. This is where he was located at." I'm like, "All right, cool. We're going to finish this track." And Dane was able to track to that exact location. And then the dog stopped and was like, "There's no more odor, Dad. Like, the kid's gone. He got picked up right here." And to be able to see Dane observe that and see it in his dog and to be successful after putting in all that work and all the training and stuff that we've had, I think that's probably one of the cool stories. Going out and getting narcotics and bites and stuff like that, that's great. But when you're able to successfully help locate a missing child or something like that, I think that would probably be the highest output of success that you could get out of working a dog. So.
Yeah, and again, even though, the child was found by a teacher, it was a success because the dog did exactly what it was supposed to do and go right to that point. So,
and if that teacher wouldn't have been there to locate that child,
yeah,
we would have.
Yeah.
At some point in time, we would have caught up to that child. So,
yeah.
It was really incredible to watch.
Yeah. Well, guys, I appreciate you being on today. I do feel like we have a strong K9 program. We've got great K9 handlers. The training, the involvement in what you guys are at the patrol level has been, like, I'd say probably the best it's maybe ever been. Again, and that's a lot of credit not only to you, Kiefer, for kind of your vision on what you wanted the program to look. Well, you say that, but like
I'm just a handler like these guys.
But you were given
the
the task to say, hey, let's strengthen our program. Let's do this and that. And again, I say this not taking anything away from former handlers or anything, but we do have more dogs than we ever have before, and and I think our training has expanded outside our own backyard. We're training with agencies that are hours away. If you're talking about training with a guy from Rushville over in Indianapolis, I mean that sharpens us, right? That
Absolutely.
Makes us better. And I appreciate what you guys do. Often we don't get to hear that. It's just our job. It's what we do. But it's good to know that not only the community but the colleagues and the people that you work with value who you are as individuals and the sacrifices that you and your families make. For this position that you guys serve on our agency. And again, it's in addition to, right? You're still patrol officers that have the additional responsibility of that extra with the K9. So I appreciate you guys, and I'm looking forward to going out with our film crew today and getting some good footage of everything that we do. I'm going to wrap this up. Again, this was episode 4 of K9 Officers, K9 Division. Unfortunately, I hate that Dane couldn't be here, but we'll definitely follow up with him and get a good video of him and Boss. I would say, you can go to our Grinch video that was posted on our Facebook page back just before Christmas and get to see Dane and Boss. Again, I remember talking to the Grinch and how nervous he was.
Yeah,
I
bet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he didn't know if the dog liked furry green people or not. So we're going to wrap this episode up. Next episode is going to be episode 5. Some discussions are going on right now about having our safe unit on. Potentially those guys are going to come on and they focus on kind of our high risk, high warrant type stuff. But if not them, then we're going to look at maybe having either our SWAT team or our drone team on, but we're going to get to all those in the future. So again, it's maybe I see some of you guys back in the studio, or maybe we get some better looking mugs on here next time. So I appreciate it, Richmond, as always. We appreciate you tuning in. And I do want to say, if you're former law enforcement, we appreciate you. I hope you're enjoying your new venture in life, whatever that may be. If you've been a K9 handler in our department, which, we mentioned some of the names at the beginning.
Absolutely.
didn't mention, everybody. Obviously, Keeper's only been here so long, and
God, I'm trying to get to all the names, but I haven't met everybody.
yeah,
so.
which is all right. We still appreciate you and your service to our agency and our community, and again, being part of the foundation to our K9 program and help, giving us a benchmark to get us to where we are today. But episode 5 next. Stay tuned for it. We appreciate you. Thank you, Richmond, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Hi, I'm Jacob Wolfal. This is K9 Bane. He likes to hang out on the couch and play with his big ball that he's got at the house and chew on.
I'm K9 Officer Krofta. This is K9 Zane. He's been with us for 6 months. He comes from Lynchburg, Virginia. His favorite hobbies is chasing his ball and chewing on his bone.
I'm K9 Officer Uphaus. This is K9 Ski. And Ski's been with the police department for 3 years. And his favorite thing to do is eat chicken nuggets. It's okay. So. What about over here, buddy?
So this is what we'd show as a passive indication, final indication to a trained odor of narcotics. You check over here.
Ski-Boy, you check over here. So we are going to do a canine bite now. We're going to go to a doorway. We're going to give commands for the suspect to come out of the building. Suspect doesn't want to come out and doesn't want to comply, then he will get dog bit.
Get your dog.
Show me your hands.
No, I don't gotta listen to you. I gotta listen to you. You better get that dog. I'm not getting on the dog. I don't gotta listen to you.
Watch. On the ground or you're gonna get dog bit.
No, I'm not getting.
Yes. Get your dog. Get your dog. You got hands? You got hands? Suspect don't move. Bang. Watch it. Watch it. Watch that bad guy. Yeah. Watch that bad guy. Watch that bad guy. Still in it. Still in it. Yeah. This is a track with K9 Bane. We're gonna go over here and get started. Show me.